Hello and welcome back to Deconstructed. I'm your host Sam Animal Mackenzie. With me, as always, Harry Nero Richards. Harry, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Started cheating on you a few other podcasts, some small ones, but yeah, I'm here. I'm back.
Can't believe it. I'm just so insulted by this. Oh well, they're not as big as Deconstructed, so
We're huge.
Doesn't really matter. We are fucking massive. Did you know who else is fucking massive? Vitality.
Thought you were going to go straight with a fat joke then.
Yeah, you were worried. And when you were worried. I had multiple targets, didn't do it. Good from me. Anyway,
Right.
Vitality. Winners of IEM Rio, not the important one that mattered. Winners of the Blast TV Paris Major, that one mattered. And then after that, they decided to get rid of dupreeh. He's about 97, just had a kid. Can't really blame them, but many people would, because they'd as Apex said, why would you make a change when you were already on top? But they did. They brought in flameZ, and what's your thoughts so far, Harry?
Well, I mean, it's a Blast exhibition tournament, so shouldn't look too much into it. They've kind of done exactly what you expect them to do in the first few days, just smashing EG and complexity, like everyone just farming rating and stats and stuff. And then they lost to Nick, so we're going back into the it's a new roster, they need a few weeks, all of that. So yeah, it's kind of profile wise, flameZ is fit in where you want him to fit in, like he's being that aggressive guy on T side as we expected, and then CT side has got cucked a bit because obviously Apex keeping all the rotator spots, flameZ is anchoring, Beyond Mirage, things like that.
Outrageous. Love it. Outrageous.
Fairly outrageous. Didn't look too good against Nip there. But yeah, they've got stuff to work on still. Losing to Nip is fairly embarrassing, but it's a Blast. It happens all the time. Heroic lost to EG, Blast group stage. It just doesn't matter.
Didn't Heroic need the showdown to qualify the spring final? Have I made that up? Yeah, I swear they were in showdown.
I think they'd lost to EG and then won all their other games.
I swear someone was in the showdown who shouldn't have been in the showdown for spring. I might be chatting out my ass, but I'm sure that's a thing.
I don't even know. I'll have a check.
I know, it might have been Cloud9.
Ents won the showdown.
Cloud9.
Oh no, Heroic were in the showdown? No, I'm looking at 2022. I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Doesn't matter. Either way, yeah, even with the change, you probably do expect them to have already qualified for full final. They've not done so, and I don't really know if that's disappointing, to be honest. Like, it's this thing of, flameZ anchoring B Mirage, that could go really well. There's not many B Mirages in the world where you're going into a player as strong as flameZ, but also there's not many, NAF being the exception. Anyway, but flameZ B Mirage, I'm still I'm not sure I'm entirely convinced by that. It feels like it's one where Apex should just take it on the chin, accept he is the worst player on the team, and go and take the worst spot. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I do agree. I think it's one of those Apex, when he talked about, because he went to B Mirage so that dupreeh could play short and then put Spinx in con, right? That was the original setup. And then when they won the major, Apex went back in con, and he was all this like, you need someone crazy in con, you need like some more aggression to help Spinx on short, all of this. But like, it's not like flameZ is not aggressive. Like, flameZ can definitely do what Apex does in con and do it better. It's just a little bit of the, you want your IGL to have all the info, like all the, like, he can flash for Magisk on A better than flameZ probably does. But this is, like, it's con. It's con. You can't have a 0.85 rated player in con. It's really difficult to justify, even with the IGL angle.
Do you remember that point of when Monty beat Cloud9 on Mirage, and it was just like, some Young or Warrow, whoever was IGL at the time, just said to Boros before, like, just go and kill NAF and he's shit. Yeah. Like, it's the same issue that Vitality are going to end up having. And when you're talking about, like, you need a crazy connector player, I'll be honest, like, and I'm pretty sure I said it in some form of article, I was pretty sure that's what they brought flameZ in to be. Like, he played con on fucking OG.
He did, yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me that you'd then put him on B. Like, or maybe it's just we'll plug and play you B, and then with a bit more time, we'll move you over.
It's all his spots though. I honestly don't think it is that. I think it's all of his spots are anchor spots. Like I've got it up here. He plays like B on Inferno, which is a good spot but still anchor. B on Mirage, B short on Overpass, and B anchoring on Vertigo. So like, they're basically all just dupreeh spots. He's just in dupreeh spots, like just completely 1-for-1. You're pretty versatile. We'll chuck you in and see how it goes. And he's been playing well on them so far. It's only really the NIP series where he struggled, and he's gonna have to watch a lot of demos basically because he's just learning loads of new spots.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe it's a waste of his talents, and maybe it's a waste of accurately sharing firepower across the map. And also, I'm not sure, like, let's not pretend that Naf was always a B anchor. He might be really, really good at it. He wasn't always a B anchor. I'm not sure his profile fits B anchor in the way that Naf's maybe did. That would be my criticisms of it and my worries long term. But
Apex's profile doesn't fit it either, to be honest.
Well, no, it doesn't. But
it makes more sense.
He's the worst player on the team, so it makes more sense. But as a move overall, replacing dupreeh, who obviously me and you quite big fans of dupreeh, maybe not as big fans as Elliot. Watch Horseshoe Theory. But we're quite big fans. What do you think of the move?
Well, I don't think it's a bad reflection on dupreeh to be cut. Firstly, I think he took a while to get used to what Apex wanted him to do, but then at Rio and at the Major, he was doing exactly what Apex wanted him to do, and he was playing better. His stats got better as well. Like, even though his role probably got harder, like he was being more of an aggressive player, and his stats actually went up. And I think it's just they've looked at it over the summer and thought, okay, so he's still probably not 100% comfortable doing the crazy shit on T side. He's only going to get older and worse. Like, you kind of want to replace a player before they get washed up. It's the thing where Astrala's waiting until Xyp9x was like a rotting corpse before they cut him, right? Whereas dupreeh still has a bit of life left in him. Like, he's still like a good player. He would be a good player for a top 20 team. But this is Vitality. They want to be the best team in the world. They've got an aging squad because Apex is old too. Like, they want to have a young core of Spinx, flameZ, ZywOo. And that just makes sense to me. I think flameZ is younger. He fits the role that Apex wants from like an entry, like more like the Jax mold of entry. But it just makes so much sense to me to bring in someone. flameZ is like 19 as well. Like, it just makes sense to me that you'd future-proof your team. You've won the Major. That was your big goal. There's a long time until the next Major. Like, there's no reason to keep dupreeh for 8 months. Like, you never know what could happen. Like, he could flip off at any time in the next 8 months. It makes sense to get someone young in now, and then actually, like, this is a team that I've got more belief in building an era because they've got just more firepower. Like, dupreeh could pop off occasionally, but even like his good events, he wasn't like, I don't know, he never felt like a star. He was just a role player in this team, and flameZ is an upgrade in that respect.
Well, this is the thing, right? A good event from flameZ, like whatever the event is, a good event from flameZ is probably going to be like 0.1 rating higher than a good event from dupreeh in the same roles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his ceiling is higher, therefore Vitality's ceiling is higher. And yeah, exactly, like, future-proofing is important. And in terms of, conversations we've had a lot in the past, it's actually something that I feel like me and you commend and respect. Because, I mean, Astralis were the best team in the world, and we were like, yeah, but they should kick dupreeh and Zip and get Valday and Config. Which hindsight,
mostly a meme.
Horrible. But it would have been more fun. It would have been more fun. And it was mostly a meme, but it's still that point of, like, just... like,
make changes before your dog shit, because then you can still attract the best players in the world. Like this summer window, Vitality probably could have got anyone they wanted for dupreeh, and they've picked the best available player that fits the roles the best. Like, when you're signing players when you're good, like, look at Astralis now. They're signing Borup and Buzz and things like that. Like,
yeah, because a heroic player won't fucking sniff them.
Yeah, but if it was 2020, you could get Shush, you could get Stown. This is the difference that happens when you wait too long.
Yeah, every heroic player in 2020 would have left heroic for for Astralis. It would have been a no-brainer. They would have gone. I mean, like, yeah, someone like Borup in his little press release, it's like, oh, but when Astralis come calling, you can't not. We can not. That used to be the case, but you can not. It's only heroic.
They met for Config, didn't they? Didn't want to join it first. So that report came up.
Like Vitality though, right now, not many people in the world are going to say no to those fuckers. And with someone like flameZ, and I reckon there's probably a slight chance that it happened with Yekindar last year. With someone like flameZ, they just needed to jump on him. Like, if they didn't jump on him, who was going to? He makes every team around them stronger. He'd make Na'Vi stronger. Realistically, he would make FaZe stronger. Probably. I've said
Liquid
it.
For Patsy, I think fits way better.
Not sure how much I believe it after I've said it, but I do mostly believe it. And Rain's getting old and has the same things as dupreeh. Fits Liquid better for Pat. He makes every team around them stronger. So why not? Why not
even like Ends for Madden or something?
When you're at the top. At the moment, it is a clear top two between Heroic and Vitality, and they have made a move to preserve that. It's for that reason alone, it's a really good move.
And also, it's like a lot of the interviews, it seems like the players are all being like, "Oh, like maybe the players are suggesting it wasn't their decision, right?" And they're kind of trying to defend themselves from the people who are quite angry that they've cut dupreeh.
Put on the fucking org, even if it's not.
Yeah, like, okay, so it seems like it's Zonic's decision and it's the org's decision, and that is perfect. That's how a team should be run. It's 2023, like the players are going to be sentimental. Like it's huge. Honestly, like it shows Zonic's greatness. To be honest, like we're probably jumping the gun here because what if they're dog shit? But I think it does show Zonic's greatness, and it shows that he's learned from the mistake he made in Astralis. Because him and dupreeh have been together since what, like 2016? They're like probably like close to best mates, to be honest. Zonic joined Astralis in 2016, and dupreeh's been there the whole time. So like, and he's cut him. He's cut like one of his best mates because it's a business decision. And I really hope it goes well for Vitality, because a lot of the people who said the same thing about VP when they cut Norbert for Chiron, and they were all just like, "Oh, why would you change your winning team? All of this." Like, no, that's bollocks. They just picked a kid who just never going to fit. Like, cutting Norbert was still the right decision. I will back that to the grave. It's just they picked the wrong player to replace him. Maybe. So this I'm really rooting for Vitality now. Like, I think they're going in a direction that I like the scene going to, and I want it to be more standard. To be honest, you shouldn't wait until you're dog shit before making a roster move if someone is available like this.
No, I agree, right? And I think if more teams were like that, do we see FaZe drop off last year? Because realistically, he might have just won a major MVP at fucking Antwerp. Let's not pretend that Rain is some perfect fucking player. A lot of people like to forget that they spent the 5 years before that saying he should be fucking cut. Like, oh yeah, but he's a major MVP now. Well, fuck that bullshit. Like, if you look at that FaZe team, right? That's the piece you'd upgrade on. FaZe might still be the best team in the world if they'd done that. Probably not, because of the way they play, and it's just not sustainable, really. But like, it's a move from Vitality that I really respect, and it's one that I don't know who the fuck you'd change when I'm saying this, but it's one I hope, Heroic will look at in however many months' time, if they're still not winning fuck all, if they're still in the same position and thinking, okay, we do need another change to get there. Because, they're better than they were when they had Refresh, but, like, they did it once. They didn't need to cut Refresh. They were still a very solid team, and they cut Refresh after winning Pinnacle. Like, it's one that, I just hope every other team looks at, and it's like, okay, this is how we stay on top. But, so you spoke about Zonic. You spoke about it being Zonic's decision combined with the org. And I want to talk about Zonic and the relationship between Apex, right? Because, when they won the major, Apex was on the stage and he had his interview. He's like, he said whatever he said about people saying he couldn't IGL, but now he's won a fucking major or whatever it was. And big ups to him. I fucking rate that, right?
It's just everyone's doing the Michael Jordan thing. You just need to like invent enemies.
And at first, to be honest, I wasn't high on Apex as an IGL. I'm a higher now. Now they've won some things. Now you can see in the game that they're doing the right things, where before their games were very sloppy and very messy, and maybe that was honestly just down to the role balance of the teams that they've had. But is it right to say that, or are we just looking at maybe what is now the narrative around Glaive, and it's just that Zonic is so good as a coach? What's your thoughts?
Wow, the Glaive Zonic thing, I think that's a combination, right? But for Vitality, it's the thing. It's just that thing where I think if you look at Apex in hindsight now, like what he did with the French Vitality teams is crazy. Like a lot of credit always goes to ZywOo for that, and fine, like obviously, but you still realize how weak those teams were. Like he's actually got a pretty stellar record as an IGL.
What was the last French Vitality team? It was
Masuta, Kyojin, Shox, Apex,
yeah, okay.
ZywOo. Like that is turbo garbage, and they won an event.
Yeah,
they won an event with that. So it's the thing of, it's easy to look at 2022 and look how just rubbish they were, but I think that is I think again we're relying on interviews and what they say to us, right? But it really seems like I believe Apex when he says that this year he's kind of got more of a wrestle on. He basically said in interviews, he's said to Zonic at the start of this year, if I'm going to call, we need to call my way, and it needs to be more my way than the Danish way. Like there was always that French-Danish power struggle in the team, like what style we want to do and all this. He's gone for the kind of more loose French style, and it's working. Like you can see it fits the players better. Like Spinx looks more comfortable. dupreeh may have not been as comfortable, but he played better. Like he embraced being a role player this year, and I think Apex deserves credit for that. So yeah, honestly, for the interviews this year, like I think Apex is the one who seems like he's really kickstarted this change in form. And it's maybe not even like Zonic's huge presence, like it's like that's always going to be a thing. It's always going to help. Like you look at some other teams in timeouts, and like the difference in respect to their coach, like it's going to be huge, right? Like when Zonic speaks, you fucking listen, and that is such a big asset to have as a coach. Like it's just an aura. But honestly, I think Apex deserves huge credit for this year.
No, I think that is fair. I think people are always gonna try and look at Zonic, because when you go from winning 4 majors with one team to another with another that we're maybe struggling to win one, and maybe not either not getting to playoffs or not doing well enough in playoffs, it's always going to be easy to look at him, and especially when on the flip side of the narrative is he won 4 majors with Astralis and then they just dropped off to irrelevance. Like it's the easy narrative, but I think you are right in saying that actually it's wrong to just credit Zonic. Like, of course he's going to be doing great work, but Apex deserves credit. But what about the other players on the team? Because obviously Magisk joins start of last year, former major MVP, had very clearly dropped off from the heights of Astralis, which was always inevitable, but you've got that question of whether he can get back there. And then you got Spinx, comes over from ENS at the time. Realistically, at the very worst, he's a top 10 rifler in the world. He's probably actually a top 5 rifler in the world first half of last year. Comes over, starts well, and then drops off the face of the earth. Like, what's changed in your eyes in the way that you look at these teams to allow these players to get back to the height that they need for Vitality to be so good?
For Magisk, I think it's an expectations thing. Like if he seems to be much more comfortable being the 3rd star, the 4th star in a team than he had to be a lot last year in Vitality, which was the 2nd star. And that's kind of like, yeah, he's not the player he was in Dignitas anymore. Like he's not really consistent enough, or he doesn't have the same roles anyway. Like it's hard to expect Magisk to be more than what he is now, which is probably, for my money, a better anchor than anyone. Like who else is there? Perfecto? I think Magisk is better than Perfecto. Honestly.
Nah. Maybe.
Naf, you can say Naf, yeah. Naf, Magisk, Perfecto, I think, are the top 3 at the moment. And I think I'd take Magisk over all of them, to be honest. Like, Naf started really well with this Liquid, but from the last 7 months, and yeah, Magisk is on the best team, whatever. But I think Magisk is one of those players who's always going to be underrated because he was in the greatest team of all time, but never the star, and he's never really had like that 2016 Magisk that I remember, like, and I'm very nostalgic about. He could have been Denmark's best player, but he joined Astralis, and then he's the third star behind dupreeh and Device, right? Like that's like that Magisk never really materialized, but instead he's just got this like ultra winning mentality, like so good for the team. You can tell it takes any role that's left, like a lot of the time. Like he's like amazing player. Like I don't think I've ever heard anyone criticize Magisk, to be honest.
Bro, I like what you said, like winning mentality. Then right, I interviewed this dude in Paris, and he's the only player the entire time, and it made the interview like admittedly quite difficult, but I really respected it. He's the only player who would never talk about any game ahead of the next one. There would be no indication of like, because I did it before the playoffs began, and they played what was it, Into the Breach, right? It was like you could tell he knew he was beaten Into the Breach, but he wouldn't talk about who he might face in the semi-finals. Like that wasn't happening because like he's just like, no, that's how you build pressure. I mean, he did say pressure 8 times in the next minute. Elliot really
Not
loves
feeling
that.
it though.
But his mentality is just it's so different to every other pro I've spoke to. Like you've got Warrow 2K, he's like, oh yes, we win major against Vitality. I have seen it. Like, okay,
Loses first round.
You're fucking mental. I adore you. You are brilliant. And then you've got Major just like, no, Into the Breach might beat us. Like, I'm not looking past that. I'm just going to play that game and go and win it, and then I'm going to win the next one. And I will only talk about that game until I have won it. Like I
love him so much.
It's really impressive. It's like, and I think it's the type of thing that like maybe it was drilled into him by the other Astralis players because they were talking about, you know, not going on to win before they did go on to win, and maybe how they eventually overcame that in Atlanta. I don't know. But yeah, I think having a mentality like that, and especially with what you say, him just taking whatever roles is left, it seems like a lot of time, like he must be one of the best teammates in the world. If not the best
huge
teammate.
asset. Huge
like,
asset.
straight up. But what about Spinx then? Because obviously there's that interview, I believe again it was Apex, where Apex said, you know, I said to Spinx, I need you to do more. Like, yes, you're with ZywOo now. I think he was talking about Overpass A. Like, yes, you're with ZywOo now, but I got you to be a star. Like, say what you want to do. Like,
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's the thing with Spinx. It's exactly that, right? He struggled a bit with the name value of his teammates when he came in. From what it seemed like he came in and he couldn't be, because Ents was completely built around him. Like if you ever speak to Snappy about it, it's like the same thing Nerds has now. Like because they had and especially even then, it's even worse because they had a support of Orpa and Hades. So it was all around Spinx. Like Snappy was calling it around Spinx every single round, like trying to get him in a good spot or like trying to get a lurk off. And he was much more aggressive. He had so much freedom. And that's come back now. Like on CT side, Blast, he has 30% opening kill attempts on CT side. Like this guy he's completely unleashed now this year. I think the French version of the Vitality style is better for him. I think it's better for him. He's got all of his spots and he plays like he deserves those spots now. And it's really refreshing to see. Like I think a lot of people wrote him off when he was struggling so badly last year. Like, well, not even that badly, but like compared to expectations, right? Like he looks like he needed some more time, and he's had that time, and now look at him, like he's still never going to be like ultra consistent in a way that you can be when you're the best player on a team, like he was in Ents. Like when you have an Orpa, there's always going to be some space. Like ZywOo's going to take some space, like that just goes without saying. But you couldn't ask for a better second star. This is like, you know, he's aiming to be peak electronic, right? And I don't think he's miles away. I don't know.
No, I don't think that's unfair to say. Like, he is very, very good now. I mean, it's one of them, right? Because I think there is that aspect of because of how average he was in that first 6 months or so on Vitality. Like, everyone, I think he's still maybe at that point now where it's like, okay, you weren't just a purple patch on Ents, like, you are just legitimately very good. But I feel like, by the end of this year, especially when, you'll lot do the little rankings that everyone loves. I'm saying that like I don't. It's very helpful.
It's Counter-Strike Christmas.
Yeah, it is. Like it's one of them where I think at the end of this year, everyone's going to look at Spinx, and there will no longer be a question of how good he is. Like, it's not the same with Electronic, where he went into Na'Vi. Can't remember for the life of me who he replaced. Was it C's?
Oh God, maybe C's.
Maybe C's.
Like, it was 2017. So,
but he went in. The team had flameZ, it had Edward, it had Zeus.
Oh, yeah.
There was fucking no firepower. Simple. If he didn't have the greatest game of his career, they weren't winning. And Electronic went in, and suddenly they had this 1-2 combo where it was like, all right, we are just a legitimately like decent team now. We can do so much more, and it's been a very different time than that for Spinx. But I think you are looking at, he is just the second star, regardless of if I think if you watch Paris a lot of the times, it looked like Magisk was the one winning the key rounds, and like Magisk was the one who really
just so impactful, isn't he? But
won the tournament for them. It's the consistency of Spinx across the board that makes him that second star. Should we end with a little chat about ZywOo? Because I have a feeling I have a feeling like I'm riling you up for a second.
Let's try.
So did it take Paris for ZywOo to kill his little label of being a playoff bottler?
But that label is just ridiculous. Has always been ridiculous.
So easy.
Barely even want to engage with it. But
no, you're engaging. Go on.
I'm engaging. But if someone has the same rating as Simple in arena matches, like his whole career is a playoff bottler, then fine. You could keep saying that, but you live in a fantasy world. Like,
played a lot less of those arena matches, though, didn't he?
Fewer. And as yes, he did, but that's because COVID wiped out 2 years. Like, this ZywOo is
and because
the only mark against.
They get knocked out quite quickly, quite a lot of the time.
They do get knocked out quite quickly, but we've just been over this. He had Pursuit of Kyojin and and washed up shocks on his team, and it's not like Apex is killing anyone either. Like, this is, you can only judge ZywOo on. I think he won Cologne. He won Cologne in like his first event, and he was MVP and had like a 1.5 rating. He's not a bottler. He was in his shit team, and he took a while to get used to speaking English last year. But he's not a bottler. I'm not having it. He's God's gift.
Well,
He's got the messy thing. Every single scatter plot, he's in the top right. I'm just not having it.
I'm not sure he's exactly God's gift. I mean, he's not Device, but no,
just behind Device.
He's exceptional, isn't he? And I think Counter-Strike needed ZywOo. It's taken me a few years to come around to that idea, but Counter-Strike needed ZywOo because it was quite boring just having Messi and or Ronaldo, whichever one you want to decide Simple is and whichever one you want to decide ZywOo is. I simply don't care. But having one just definitive best player in the world is just shit. It is just boring.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And having two of them is so much better, and especially, this year, and I'm now talking more about Simple being bad than ZywOo being good, but it's like ZywOo's been so good this year, and Simple's shut up. And Simple's been so far behind that it's like that makes it more interesting. And it's like hopefully it pushes Simple more. Obviously there's other circumstances, but hopefully it pushes Simple more, and it's clearly given ZywOo a push to have something ahead of him to strive to being better than, and he's just fucking wicked to watch play Counter-Strike. He does things that even Simple can't fucking do, and he does it pretty good. I mean, Cypher can, but also God's gift. And it's just I'd there's a part of me that would really like to see this Vitality without ZywOo.
You saw the simple in one game, and
because
they won,
there's
right?
that stat of like if he goes negative, they lose or something like that. It's something I remember it being posted at some point, and it's like it's just this mental thing of like he's gone negative like 6 times and they've actually won or something stupid like that. I'd never find. I think it was Lawrence who tweeted it.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And it's just like he's just absurd. He's so good, he's so consistent, and he's, as he has been for years, the thing that's made this Vitality team consistently one of the best teams in the world. And I really like the fact that he's got his major. He got it far earlier than Simple did. He got one before Nico did. He's got all of this shit. It might not actually be far earlier than Simple, but it feels like it. And he's got
Maps
all this.
wise.
Right, okay, maps played, yeah. But he's got all this that it's just there isn't a doubt over ZywOo anymore. Where there has been.
There never should have been, but fine.
Players. Well, there was though. Like, unfortunately, there just was. And then you've got like Maui Snake's a good bloke, right? But he's fucking air quality meme, fucking worst meme in Counter Strike. Terrible, awful, boring meme. I hate it so much. But you've got things like this to like excuse it, and totally no other reason why that meme exists. None at all. Don't go into that one.
Don't even know why.
Check the air quality of a certain Polish city.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah. And I just think it's really good that it like what does ZywOo deniers have to say now? What do they have?
Well, Elliot is the last one, and he says that dupreeh is the best player of all time, and that dupreeh carried him to the major. So, honestly, I think everyone should be rooting for this Vitality team to go back to back in Copenhagen, because I would love it.
I would love it too, but maybe Elliot should pass the eye test, and then we'll listen to his eye test. How about that one?
Oh, you should be talking about eye tests.
Well, I know, I should have been this session recently. Fuck you now. But no, I would really like them to go back to back in Copenhagen. And honestly, I know a lot of people are talking about CS2 could be a huge shake-up, and there's quite a few players that could be far worse than they are now. If that's not the case, Heroic or Vitality are winning in Copenhagen. They just are. It's either finally Cadian's time, or Heroic are Vitality are just going to stay so good because of this change that they will just be favourite either way.
I think Cologne, a major. Something's always in the water in majors, so maybe hold your horses. But this upcoming Cologne, if it's not one of Heroic or Vitality, like it's going to be like the Cloud9 honeymoon or something. Like this event's got a good format. It should be one of the best teams in the world who wins this. And honestly, I'm rooting for flameZ.
Yeah, no, me too. I'd love it if Heroic won. I'd love it if Vitality won. At the end of the day, I will be there no matter what. And I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to enjoy the future of Vitality, because I think you and I both agree it's looking fucking good for them. It will continue to look fucking good for them.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I guess, let us know what you think. Is it feeling thank you? We'll go with that. That accidentally came out. I'm not sure how that worked. Is it looking good for Vitality? You know, are you one of the detractors of the flameZ move? Do you think it's good? Do you think dupreeh's the best player in the world of all time? Never to be defeated. So yeah, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're both in Cologne for the next however many weeks. 2 weeks, is it? We're in Cologne?
Yeah.
So we'll be taking... Well, this one's coming out next week, whenever. I'm already fucking confused. We'll be taking a week's break, at least, while we're in Cologne. Unless something very interesting happens and we decide to sit in a room again and stare into each other's eyes lovingly. We'll see.
Do I make you Rustin?
Oh, possibly. Talk about mouths. But anyway, I've been Sam Animo Mackenzie. He's been Parry Piro Pictures. Got to get one in before our little break. And we'll see you in the next one.